What's going on, family? This is Manuel Godoy with you tonight, and we are going to be talking to Ramond Murphy. This is the
Yo,
man
yo.
behind the album for Black Sands. All right, that's the one that you got on the other side of the DVD. You know the CD. Denver native. You know he reps Denver hard. Almost every single artist is from Denver, right?
Pretty much, man. Or at least they're a Denver artists, you know what I mean? If they wasn't born there, they're there now, you know what I mean? So, yeah,
Everybody on the album. Everybody on the
yeah.
album's Denver. All right. So Colorado's holding it down, one of those unspoken areas that might take over the game in about a year or two. I don't know what's gonna happen. But if St. Louis could take over the game for like 3 years straight, I don't know what's gonna happen with Denver. It might be. I don't know. But if
Yeah.
Ramon's any idea of what's gonna happen in the future, then definitely, most likely, that's gonna happen real quick because Ramon's fire, man. But for now, I'm gonna let him go and introduce himself, tell you all about what he do, his brand, what he does, his history in this game of hip hop and everything else. So go right ahead, man. Let them know.
Well, what's going on, y'all? My name is Ramond. Like you said, I'm from Denver, born and raised pretty much lived here my whole life. I've been doing music for probably want to say about like seriously, 5 to 10 years, depending on how you put serious on that. You know what I mean? Um, uh, I basically just been doing my own projects, since I started making music, and I've always been like big on the A&R side with my music as well. So besides just being a rapper, I was always just heavily involved with the sounds and making sure I got the right pieces to put everything together. So when we finally sat down and talked about doing the soundtrack for the album, it was like a perfect opportunity for me to, kind of play the executive producer and the artist for all at the same time, man. So, you know, um, ever since we connected, man, I feel like
It was
the
a lot of
album just
work, right?
complements the scenery. So, yeah, I mean, it was a bust, man, but it was something I felt like I was ready for. I felt like, like a lot of artists kind of only play one role in the sense of maybe just rapping or just singing or just producing, or you know what I mean. But for me, I wanted to take this chance to step up to so many different avenues. You know what
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as the album process, right? So I'm sure a lot of people here, especially people who are artists themselves. I got a lot of people follow me who are like rappers and hip hop artists and all that stuff. He said recruiting in that short period of time that you took to
I mean?
actually make this album, right? How did that go,
Yeah,
man?
yeah,
Tell
yeah.
that story.
Man, well, I kind of just, I kind of, well, I actually did a lot more recruiting than the people that got on it. You know what I mean? So like originally it wasn't just going to be all Denver artists. You know what I mean? But then I just realized it was so tough in that short amount of time to get everybody on the same realm. But then I realized at the same time we have enough talent in my city to do it that nobody knew about. So when I connected those two pieces together, I was like, it kind of just makes sense. So we just booked out the studio. Somebody told me when they walked in, it looked like the Dreamville session with J. Cole, with just all type of different artists working on different songs, and you know what I mean. So yeah, man, it was just a short process. I'm real in tune with my city as far as just key players, and I knew what type of sound I was looking for, what type of artist. So everybody was on board when I reached out, and you know, it just came together exactly like I wanted it to. Maybe better, you know what I mean? In that short amount of
Well,
time,
it
for
was
sure.
an amazing album, and still we haven't reached the masses, right? But we are taking a lot of space up, and people are seeing this stuff. People are listening to it, and over time it's just gonna grow. There's nothing they can do about it. They can't stop us from making money. So we do what we
Yeah,
do, right? Everybody gets that exposure that they
yeah,
need,
that's fine.
and I'm always one for
Yeah,
being fair and honest, and at the end of the day, this has been very good for both people, right? It gave me more content
absolutely.
for for my customers because, in all honesty, I when I made my DVD, I thought that it wasn't worth $20. And I was like, I don't think it's worth $20. I mean, I could charge $20, but I was like, nah. It's not fully animated the whole thing. Some
Yeah,
people might whatever. So I was like, we got to do something extra, man. We got to do something that just blows it away content-wise. That way we know for a fact that their money was well spent. All right. So we produced this album, man. And Ramond did it, and the quality is freaking phenomenal. In fact, you know, he got a couple of placements. Your agent got you some placements, right? You know, in the media.
Oh yeah. Tim Gelt, man, he's the best manager in the game. I said, I've been working. I started working with him probably like six months before I met you, so it was the perfect timing. You know what I mean? Yeah, but he definitely got some big placements with.
He got your stuff in the Broncos Stadium, right?
I was just about to say in the Denver Broncos Stadium, man, and that was the Broncos versus the Raiders.
Let's run that.
So you know that's big. That's
track, man. I'm gonna run that track right now. Let me run that track.
Let's do it.
With that being said, because the software we're using doesn't do it right, you're gonna hear it from my speaker as opposed to hearing it from, you know, perfect whatever, right? But we got the whole album on SoundCloud, right?
It's on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever music is. So we'll get you guys a link for sure. He's gonna give
all that stuff, and then you guys can go there for the digitals, right? And you can hear crystal clear. But right now, we're gonna run this right here through the speakers. Hopefully, you'll hear it clear, right? And we'll be getting it. Let's see.
You know I'm down for the cause. You know I'm down for the cause. You know I'm riding, ain't need to hide it. Tripping, you know I'm involved. You know I'm down for the cause. Always been down for the cause. They got an issue, know what I've been through. My people ain't taking a loss. You dealing with gladiators. You know who I am, you know who I am. You dealing with gladiators. You know who I am, you know who I am. You dealing with gladiators. You know who I am, you know who I am. Man, I'm a gladiator. Say what? You know I'm a gladiator. Say what? You know I'm a gladiator.
This here is not for the timid. This here is not for the weak. This ain't the time for no second guessing. This ain't the time to think. Y'all done got under my skin like a leech. Now I'm off the leash. Ain't no more coming in peace. I hit the boiling point and my point has been reached. Ain't no more speaking. You didn't just woke up a giant from sleeping. It's time to get even. I got an army of soldiers that's with me. And all of them ready to jump off the people. This is the season of leaving out all of the reasons and leaving them right where they see them. Ready to go where I lead them. But really they ready and willing to go for the kingdom. You feel
for the kingdom. You dealing with gladiators.
I don't know about that, man. That was in the stadium.
Always been down with the cause. They got an issue. Know what I've been through. My people ain't taking a loss. You dealing with gladiators. You know who I am. You dealing with gladiators. You know who I am. You dealing with gladiators. You know who I am. You know who I am. Man, I'm a gladiator. Say what? You know I'm a gladiator. Say what? You know I'm a gladiator. Out with the old and in with the new. Enough with the games ain't coming to low. I got some soldiers that's riding here with me that's killing for nothing, just something to do. We taking over, they loving it too. Women they want us, they loving the crew. Question me, I think you testing me, now you just dancing me, homie, and here's the proof. I ain't been trusting my company, people look up for me, then try to act like I'm tripping. Nah, I know you talking like you got it all till it come up missing. Yeah, whole bunch of tactics is legendary. All of this heart is hereditary. All of that woman is very scary. Just act like you something you try to I'm down for the cause. You know I'm down for the cause. You know I'm riding, ain't need to hide it. Tripping, you know I'm involved. You know I'm down for the cause. Always been down for the cause. They got an issue, know what I've been through. My people ain't taking a loss. You dealing with gladiators. You know who I am. You dealing with gladiators. You know who I am. You know who I am. You dealing with gladiators. You know who I am. You know who I am. Man, I'm a gladiator. Say what? You know I'm a gladiator. Say what? You know I'm a gladiator.
Y'all don't even know, man. Y'all don't even know.
Yeah,
he said we were in Denver for the listening party, right? We were out there at the actual studio.
Yeah.
There, you know, but before COVID, so I was in the carrier at the time. You know, everybody was chilling over there, going through every single jam that we had on this track. I'm gonna see if I got the updated ones too, because you know I got for some of these tracks right here. I have the ones that wasn't the final ones, right? So I want to get those. I want to play those ones. I don't want to mess that up.
You got the songs all through the process. Yeah. You got every version through the process, man. This was the process.
But with that being said, when you made these songs, right? Some of these songs were made that were just really nice songs that fit the Black Sands vibe, and then some songs that were straight up Black Sands stories. So, what was your process when you were making Black Sands story songs? And we're gonna go and play one as well when we get a chance. But first, you know, tell them what it's about, man.
So to be honest, man, when I just sat down and, you know, we found out we was doing the album. I'm gonna just say this too. Before we finalized that I was gonna do the album, I started working on the album. You know what I mean? I kind of just I felt like it was gonna happen, so I just, you know, started jumping into it. So, you know, my first thing was just literally making sure I knew the story front to back. So not like I just read it, you know what I mean? I wanted to understand it. I wanted to like go into that world, you know what I mean? Because it's, you know, once you learn how to rap and you know how to connect it to your own life, that's one thing. But you know, for me, I like to fully understand what I'm getting involved with. So first, I wanted to fully understand what the Black Sands story was, and I just sat down and just literally just wrote down like 20 names of songs that just came to my mind when I thought about Black Sands. Right. So then I just you know broke down like, okay, I got With a Kill, one of the biggest producers on the album. He produced probably like almost 60-70% of it, and you know he sent me a bunch of records. We just started going through, and I started seeing what feels I wanted to connect to each song, and you know we just took it one piece at a time, man. But you know there was some more specific than others, like you said. You know some I wanted to be able to just play other places, like Gladiators fits Black Sands, but it could be for something else. And that's, you know, we wanted to have some songs like that where they could cross over and play in the, you know, Bronco Stadium and really fit like a, you know, I almost say, I felt like an end game scene. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the end with just both sides is just really getting busy. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to make sure we could do both. You know what I mean? Like, So, yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's go into one of these songs that were that was basically made specifically for Black Sands, right? So we're gonna go into Ra because you know me personally, you know, Ra is my favorite character in the series. Sorry, Asar, but you know, I love my boy Ra.
Ra's hard, man.
and Ramond captured Ra perfectly. You about to hear this right here. So let me get this out real quick. Let me download this. I don't want to have no choppiness. So I'm gonna get this downloaded real quick. All right. Open the file.
Watch your tone. I've been known to never tolerate no disrespect. Ain't the one to cross. You better hope we never intersect. Challenge my authority or questioning my intellect is getting checked. I'ma have to show you why I've been a threat. Politics really ain't something I'm getting bothered with. Ain't no second guessing my ruling. You better follow it. If ever there's a problem, I'll be the first to acknowledge it. If you thinking of saying something, you better bottle it up. I can't pop on anybody that speaks out. I plant the seeds that breed greatness and weed the weak out. I'm on a conquest and there's things that I need to see out. And I can't leave out that I might not be the one that y'all want, but I'm the one they all need. Sometimes you gotta go to war if you really want peace. Might not be the one that y'all want, but I'm the one they all need. Cause they know it can go down. And when it does, they call me. Right. Stay alive. Keep in mind, I don't tolerate disobedience. Ain't no way I'm about to be lenient for convenience. Not here for the jumps. I never been no comedian. Well as the phone that you see me in. You see we in a moment of time that you can test me never. I live by act first and ask questions never. Wolfing to anybody he chooses. Feel the fury of why. Whoever be acting foolish is out of here. I never been the type that's moving out of fear. I only trust in me, and I ain't never getting doubted here. Battling with monsters and gods for like 1,000 years. So I know that I might not be the one that y'all want, but I'm the one they all need. Sometimes you gotta go to war if you really want peace. Might not be the one that y'all want, but I'm the one they all need. Cause they know it can go down. And when it does, they call me. Right.
I don't think y'all know about that right there, man. That stuff hit the soul. I was like, that's me, baby, right there. Tyrant. Yeah. Don't look at me as somebody to help. That's what I am. You know, I'm out here. That's my whole life. That's my whole life right there. I said I can't help nobody. You gotta follow command. And what he said, you follow command, we're gonna win.
Yeah, it's just,
you gotta follow command. Stand in line. Man, I love Ron. Ron's my boy, man. He's basically my alternate personality in the series. It's like you know, I'm morally great. I do what I gotta do in order for, you know, society to win, whether people like it or not. You know, and you know, I kind of think that stuff matters nowadays because at the end of the day, 40 years, 50 years, nothing's happened. Right? Nothing's happened. Nobody's broken through. You know, even people who were connected big time ended up going bankrupt. You know, Milestone Comics and stuff like that. They went bankrupt because, you know, DC said, it's not that good, and they killed the brand. Right? DC was the seller, and they killed the brand. So, you know, we got to go independent, and we got to have people who know how to make business plays. They can't just say, I want to make a good book. Good book's not good enough. You got to know how to sell the damn thing. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm bringing on a lot of new talent, right? People who are just starting off because, you know, they have aspirations. So they're a lot more open. But people who have already established content, they looking at me like, why am I not where you are? I need to get there. As opposed to, why not just get on this train and smash through everybody, right? Right? Like, just get on the train. The train's moving. You don't try to rebuild the train. I already own the tracks. Just get on the damn train. You know, but you know, people yeah, so we got to develop it ourselves. You know, that's what the album is about. That's what the DVD is about. That's what the new animations are about. The studio that we built. You know, it's all about basically creating the avenues for future explosive growth. Right? I want to make animations. Okay. Right? Do you sell comics? Oh, I don't sell those. I'm just gonna fund an animation out of nowhere. Like there's been one that was picked out of like 30 animations ever, right? There's been like one that was an independent animation that was picked up by Hollywood, you know, about a black production. And I'm not talking about Hair Love, because Hair Love was done by a celebrity, right? The guy was already a celebrity before he made Hair Love. So that's a safe bet for them. They love those ones. Like, hey, I want to make a movie, and I'll hire the same black dude that I hired for the last 20 films to produce this film. You know what I'm saying? It's like they do that all the time.
They know it's gonna work, right? They just know it's gonna work. Yeah.
It's not that they know it's gonna work. It's just that they don't want to have too many different thoughts and ideas out there, right? So they don't like to experiment. Because black consumers are like an end goal. They're not something that they're trying to nurture and build and set a culture for. They're not trying to do all that. All they want to do is get the money where it's available and dip. You know, that's what the people who own the companies do. You know, and because of that, you only have like 3 or 4 black producers in all of Hollywood that do anything. You know, like and that's crazy, but that's the way the industry works. Same thing in comics. DC, Marvel, rival companies use the same writers. The same 3 or 4 writers. You're like, y'all are rivals. Y'all are rivals. You hate each other. Why would you use the same writer? Hey, I don't want to risk it. You know,
Which is crazy.
You know,
it's crazy.
It's rebellion. It's rebellion. You got to be able to rebel, and you got to do it effectively. You got to be able to make product and actually sell the product. And then when you do animation, you don't do it out of your good graces. You don't do it out of your pockets. You don't spend all your money trying to do it. What you do is you say, this is how much it's going to cost, community. I'm not making it unless you guys think that it is valuable. You know? So put your money in, buy some of this stock, and if you guys buy the stock, clearly it's a viable option, right? But I'm not going to stop my business to make an animation. It's going to be something that's going to be addition to my business. It's never going to stop my business. And that happens all the time. Passion projects. Oh, I love, oh, I saw this person do a great animation. I'm going to do one too, and I'm going to get a Hollywood deal. Just look at the numbers. The Hollywood deal doesn't come. Unless you're known, the Hollywood deal never comes. It doesn't come for us. You know, so you know, people just gotta be wise about that, you know. And I'm sure you've seen it too. So, you know, some people build, you know, products and hip hop and stuff like that, right? And it's just outlandishly big and like cumbersome, and you can't make a living off of it because it takes like 10,000 years, like 3 or 4 years, right? And it's like a sliver of a chance that it gets picked up. You know, it's like sometimes you just got a product.
Yeah, man. I think you hit on a big piece too, man. Is what you do? I've seen, which is huge, man. Is just the belief in yourself and your product. You know what I mean? There was at a certain point, I've been kind of, you know, of course, when you start as an artist, every artist wants to, like, you know, get the big deal and be, you know, this type of artist. But at some point, you got to just ask, like, what am I making music for? You know what I mean? You got to think about yourself as. I actually heard Nipsey Hussle say this. Think about yourself. Make sure you're thinking of yourself as a brand as opposed to just like a star or just an artist. You know what I mean? You got to make sure, because there's rules and regulations and ways that you can actually win. You think about yourself as a brand or your product as a brand as opposed to just making something and not knowing what to do with it next. You know what I mean? Like, and that's one thing I've really seen with you that you do is like, you know, Black Sands is a brand. It's a powerhouse. But, you know, you move like that. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people in a lot of different
I don't get caught up in trying to,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't get caught up in trying to chase clout or do all that other stuff. You know, I'm thinking if it ain't gonna make me money,
get lost.
Yeah, I don't make any money. I don't do it, especially now that I have investors. So all these guys here who are in the comment section watching above, you know, they want me to act like a CEO. They don't want me to act like some guy who's making comic books. They want me to make money so that their company's their stock value increases. In fact, their stock value, if you invested in the first round, your stock value doubled in about 8 months. Right? Now you can't sell it yet, but we damn sure doubled our value in the last 8 months. We really have. Like we've done a lot of things that are really measurable increases. I think our sales increased by like freaking 150% so far, and we're at month 7, right? Month 8. We're at month 8 of the year, and we're not even done with the year yet, but we're already 150% higher in sales this year than our previous years. I mean, it's just, you know, and we ran out of inventory too. So not only are we up, but we ain't got shit to sell anymore. It's like I'm sitting here like I wish I had more inventory so I could sell more, but I ain't got no more stuff. So now I'm trying to figure out this first world problem, right? Where it's like, how do I get millions of inventory in order to be able to sell X amount of sales per month, right? And it's like these are problems that most people will never run into in their lives. But you know, these are things that happen. You know what else is funny though? I've noticed that when you start winning, people start throwing money at you for nothing. It's weird. So you know how everybody's chasing the deal, right? Here's a cool deal that people don't realize exists. Advances. You know how you have like payday loans, right? Yep. Payday loans are for people who are in economic problems, right? But advances, once you make X amount of money a month, and they know you do, right? PayPal knows you do, or ClearBank, or Patreon, they know you make X amount of money a month, right? They start saying like this, you know what? I'm gonna give you 4 months in advance of all the money you make right now up front, and I only charge you 6% flat fee. No interest, just straight up 6% flat fee. They take a percentage of your sales, like maybe 5-10% of your sales, until it's repaid, right? If you got great margins, that's basically free money, because now you can do stuff like buy $100,000 worth of inventory, right? Without having to wreck your you don't have to wreck your freaking your credit score by doing all these applications and stuff. They're like, I don't need an application. You've been here for years, and your business is solid. I don't need no proof. I know it exists, and I know that I can pay. They don't need no proof, no credit, no race. But check which box you are what's none of that shit, you know. And it's funny, it keeps coming over and over again, more offers and more offers and more offers, right? And it's allowed me to move a certain way without ever worrying about going to a bank. You know, and no one ever thinks of that. When they read comic books, they're thinking, okay, a publisher's gonna pick me up, right? Or maybe I'll do a Kickstarter or something like that. And that's how they think the world works. They don't think about the simple fact if you get X amount of sales in a month, people start giving you money for no reason at all, other than the fact that you have proven that you can get money, right? You know, the idea of it's really expensive to be poor, right? Like the Bernie Sanders quote, right? It's really expensive to be poor. And they feed you to death, 29% interest rates on a freaking payday loan, you know, all types of crazy ass things. But when you get up there, they're like 6% flat fee. Pay it whenever you want. You say you'll never have to pay extra. You know, it's just a whole nother world.
And just to tap into what you're saying even more, man. Because what I've noticed about you is like you're just a great salesman, like period, right? Like you can sell some shit, like, you know what I'm saying? Period. But for the people who can't always do that, right? But for the people that can't always do that, you got to really listen to what he's saying, because what you really need to do is, instead of searching for, you know, these deals, whether it's music, whether it's comics, whether it's, you know, act, whatever it is. You need to just build a team that's good at what you're not. So if you're not a seller like Manuel, you do need one on your team, right? So the thing that you talked about with my agent, you know, getting the you know, songs placed, he's just way better at PR than I am. You know what I mean? Get somebody on your team that can do what you're not doing. You know, because most people know their weaknesses. You know what I mean? But you just don't think that, you know, if I can feel that weakness, it's not a weakness anymore. You know what I mean?
Handle it. That's the thing. People like, for me, in January, I think that was the biggest check you got from me. Right? But January, we was selling our asses off on DVDs when it first came out, right? And I've done every single order, packed, shipped, every single order for the whole month. It was like 2,000 orders. I packed every last one, and I was pissed. I was pissed. Really consuming my life to do business like that. It was just complete. I mean, you're making money, but you're also working basically full time, packing,
just packing stuff.
Doing a grunt's job. You're doing the grunt job, right? It's like a job that's like that you should easily be able to pay somebody, you know, $10 an hour to do, and yet you're doing it. You know? So we went to the fulfillment center and we said, hey, how much you charge to do all this stuff automatically, so I don't ever have to touch inventory, look at inventory. I don't want to see books. I don't want to do that. What I do, right? And I said, and they did it, and it cost me about, I say about 8% of my margin. So 8% of my total margin of my stuff, right? It costs for fulfillment, right? Which means I never have to do jack ever again, right? On the inventory side. And now that we're set, that last month we did 100,000 in sales, right? So last month I did 100,000 in sales, and I ain't packed shit. I ain't look at nothing. I ain't seen nothing. I just woke up and another 4K was made every day, and I ain't have to do nothing. I ain't have to sign nothing. I ain't do nothing. And that right there, that kind of level of their handling it, right? When this show comes out in November, the animation, I will have done nothing because Turnus, the person I hired, the person that I partnered with, He does all the animation stuff. He hires people, he fires them, he papers them, he does all the NDAs, he gets them, he does all that stuff. I don't gotta do damn thing because it's not my level of expertise. Sure, I want to be like, yeah, I know exactly what kind of move this guy needs to do. Oh yeah, the animation is wrong. We need to do it this way. I could be like that, but at the end of the day, I'm not the subject matter expert. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like I was telling Ramond he needs to go and do his lines. Lyrics he needs to. Ramond's gonna knock you out. But if you told Ramond what he needs to say in a freaking interview, he'll be like, "Oh, okay, you probably know what you're talking about."
Right? Yeah, and that's a big piece. Like even with the album, like you really just gave me full creative control. And when you pick the right person to do the job, you never have to supervise, right? Like you know, so that's kind of just how I feel. Like you pick the right people that you believe in and you trust that's going to get the job done. You've seen their work before, you know their quality, and let them do their job, and you don't have to manage it if you pick the right people to do it. You know what I mean? So that's one thing I appreciate about the project was just being able to really have full creative, control over the songs. We went back, we had ideas for songs, and we went back and forth on, how we wanted it to go, how we wanted it to, some things to sound. But for the most part, you just let me do my thing, and then just come, and then come with a body of work. You know what I mean? So
that's your product. It's not mine.
That's important, man.
He said, "Well, my biggest thing is right. If your people are not comfortable doing what they're doing, eventually your team's gonna fall apart. It just is, So everybody got to feel like they're important. Everybody has to feel like everybody has to be confident too. You can never support somebody that basically you have to hold their hand to do anything. Those kind of people you cut them quick. All right, just destroy them as fast as you can because they're not going to help you. It's only going to hinder your company in the long run. But people who are handling their own stuff, who are subject matter experts, or just real good at learning, right? Sometimes you build somebody up into a position, But once they start being like a well-tuned engine that you don't have to touch or whatever, your company grows or your production grows, right, in value, period. The second you can have a studio that can make any song right on time, get a whole bunch of things out right on time, master an entire album in X amount of time, when you can do that, all of a sudden your company as a whole increases in value dramatically because of your standards, because of the way you execute a production, right? Don't even have to be your album. You can produce somebody else's album and kill it and be done with it in a short period of time because you have a whole bunch of subject matter experts. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so we be thinking about this stuff, man. I always told Ramond, I said he needs to go international and just and teach people in other countries how to do all this hip hop stuff because he's incredible as an artist, right? But more importantly, he knows how to freaking produce. He's learned it very well. Now he's like really good at it. And these cats over in Germany will pay you an arm and a leg to learn how to be a rapper, like dead serious. And I've seen people, when I was in Germany, these cats in the US that weren't big time rappers here, right? But they were killing it over there. Like the amount of money they were making out in Europe and stuff like that in Japan. They were just making crazy cash, teaching them how to basically be like us. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. When I went to Europe, I seen the same thing, man. It's people that you would never hear about out here that just made great lives for themselves over there doing just that. You know what I mean? So that's an interesting point, man.
Sure. So this is a crazy world, and Ramond, he did amazing things in Denver. I'm trying to get Denver on the map. I'm trying. I said, damn it, it's gonna happen somehow because these cats killed that album. Everybody on the album was hot. Everybody on the album was hot. A lot of people tell me Power was their favorite song. Ramond ain't even in the dance.
That's what's dope. It's two chicks, you know what I'm saying? Two of the dopest. Two of the dopest.
It was hot.
It's July and LPs, man. Yeah, they came through. Me and you, I think, came up with the idea for what the song was, but after that, they just did their thing. You know what I mean? And it was like,
it's crazy.
I picked the right people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's crazy what happens when you just let people do what they do. So I just feel like give people the opportunities, right? And they will run with it, especially if they have the talent and what's it called, right? Be fair with your deals. Try to be fair as much as you can. Even if you have leverage over the other person, try to be fair, right? Because I see a lot of people, especially a lot of influencers, get a lot of free work out of people. They just want free work for everything. Like everything's like, oh, because I have a lot of followers. Like, if you got money, pay them.
And even to add on to that, just even a little bit, is be fair when nobody's looking. You know what I mean? Because somebody is always looking. Is how I look at it. So
you never know when
you think that you're getting over on somebody.
You never know when a story's gonna bite you in the ass. You never know. So that's Trump's problem right now. Like he screwed so many people over in the past that somebody's got a story for him every week.
every time. You know what I mean? Just because
10 years
ago. That's true.
And that's just because he doesn't think about those repercussions that all the people that he screws over in the past might come back to haunt him when he's trying to do something what he considers important. So I don't ever want that situation in the future, right? So I tend to treat people very well, and if they don't work out, I get rid of them quickly. So I don't have no bad blood in there, right? It's like, hey, if you didn't work out, you didn't work out, right? People get fired all the time, jobs, they don't get the contract. Happens all the time. Nothing personal about it. It just happens. But if you go and string somebody along for a long time and be frustrated working with them, you might get into a fight. You might argue about things. Deliveries might be messed up. Your schedule's all jacked because you're waiting for something from somebody when you could have replaced them. It's best just to do the hard thing, especially if it's friends and family. My personal policy, never work with friends or family. But that's just me.
I kind of feel you on that, to be honest. Like as far as doing business, I kind of feel you. You know what I mean? Because it always gets blurred.
Only on business, and the reason why I say only on business is because they're never a fan, right? They're never a fan.
Yeah.
So let's say they buy your album. They're doing it as a favor. They could be the most diehard hip hop fans in the universe and know that your album's top 10, and they'll still buy it as a favor to you, right? It's never just I'm buying it as a consumer, or I enjoy it as a consumer, or I'm investing as a consumer. I'm investing as a favor. And because of that mentality, things don't happen when it need to, right? Or you chase people down or whatever, because they just never, they can have no brooms and you're the best broom maker in the world, and they'll still think they bought it as a favor. Like, you ain't got no brooms, you get a broom no matter what. It's like, nah, it's a favor. It's a favor. It's a favor because you're my family. So I always tell people, be careful about friends and family, because at the end of the day, it's a different dynamic. It's just a different dynamic to work with you. Everything favors. You could pay them straight up the regular standard wage of exactly what that position is, maybe even a premium, and they'll still consider it as they're doing a favor for you.
Exactly.
It's just a friendship.
Or that you're underpaying them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't connect it. They don't connect it. No matter how it works, they won't connect that this is a business. We got to do stuff, right? So I just tell people, watch yourself. Be careful when doing business with family, because it gets very complicated very fast, right? It's best just buy them a car when you make it, right? Like,
just out of love, right?
Mom, see you later, right? Like, he said, you can't be our secretary though. You can't be. Sorry. Okay, let me see if there's any questions from the audience. I'm gonna let the questions now come in. You can ask questions to me. You can ask questions to Ramond. I prefer you ask questions to Ramond first, because he's always rare and I'm always here. So it's like, you might as well pick his brain as much as possible, and then come to me on any questions about investment and stuff like that. That's coming in about 1 to 2 weeks, the investment round. All right, I'm still in the audit. I'm stuck in the audit. The audit's long as hell. That's just the way audits are. Sometimes they take 10,000 years, and it costs a lot of money too. So I'm just sitting here auditing it up. All right. So let's see. Let's give them a chance to go and get their questions started, and then I'll start pulling them up on the screen. Do you have any questions, Ramond? Do you have any questions for Matt Godoy?
Man, discipline, man. Like, did you always know you wanted to go with like the Black Sands? Well, just a quick one. Did you always know you wanted to go with the Black Sands brand, or how did that kind of develop? And how did you kind of? It almost seemed like you know that's your life mission at this point. You know what I mean? How did that it go from you just want to do something to and this is going to be this is the thing? You know what I mean?
Well, I originally wanted to make comic books, so that was my thing. Make comic books, not comic books, video games, right? So I made like a visual novel for the Black Sand series, right? Older generation, wasn't intended for kids at all, right? Production ballooned out of control, so I had to kill it, but lost $20,000 in the process, right? So it was a very expensive mistake, right? Underestimating the production. But then I said, all right, I'm not going to kill this right away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to spin this off into a more marketable age range. Skipped a couple of generations in the story, went to the kids, made a comic book for like 1/4 the price of stuff I already developed. And then went to Kickstarter and said, Giselle, if I don't make this Kickstarter, I'm just going to get 9 to 5, call it a day. I guess I'm not that creative, right? Right? I was about to hang it up. I was like, I already burnt through 20,000. I'm done, right? I have to be responsible. So not everybody can make it. So, but that Kickstarter raised like 20,000, and I was raising like 4,000. And ever since then, everything just kept succeeding in incredible ways. And and I realized that part of my success was the fact that I was different from other creators. So what happened was, Black creators in the comic book space don't want to be too Black. They want to be Black for the comic, but they don't want to be Black for the followers or the people on Instagram or Facebook. They're like, as far as the character's about as Black as we gonna get, right? But when it comes to politics or social issues or shootings or racism or whatever the hell it is, they're silent. They ain't want to do that because it's not good for their brand, right? They don't want to chase away the Disney deal that might come down the line, right? I don't want to mess up my Disney deal by being too pro-Black on my page, right? Then they think I'm a wild cannon. Me, I was like, I want to sell product now, so I'm gonna be an influencer. I seen the Tariq Nasheeds of the world. I've seen these other guys. I've seen what they do and how much engagement and how invested their audience is to them. They're not the nicest guys in the world. In fact, most of them are assholes, but they're real. They're authentic. Right? You're like sometimes they gonna say stuff that's gonna get you pissed, and they be like, "Man, that was stupid. Why did you say that?" And they just gonna own it. They're gonna be like, "Yeah, that was probably dumb, but you know me, right?" And nobody cares. No mass exodus. There's no we're killing Tariq, because they know that's him. That's how he does it. And I saw that energy. And I said, you know what, man? He said, there's no reason I should fake it. There's no reason why I should try to be publicly correct about everything. I'm just gonna be as Black as I possibly can with my unapologetic Egyptian story. And anybody who gets angry at me, I'm just gonna tell them, man, I don't care what you say. They Black. Start some. And the cops need to go to jail. I don't give a damn. I don't care if I'm a comic book company. They going and don't apologize. I got chewed out yesterday. Oh, I got chewed out this morning. People chewing me out on Instagram. Well, some of them are. Right? Saying, oh, we shouldn't say stuff like that. When I said the mom shouldn't say she forgives the cop who shot her son, and people are like, oh, you shouldn't say like that on your brand and all that stuff. And I'm like, no, that's how I feel about Black people. Shouldn't be forgiving anybody until they ask for it. You don't ask for it, you don't get it. If you say you did everything according to procedure, then you think you're right. And if I forgive you, then I'm assuming that you're right. Right? It's like if you said straight up, I'm right in what I did, and you know what, I forgive you. It really means that you accept what they said, right? I accepted what they said. So I felt that way about it, and I said it publicly, and people got on my ass. And I was like, but most people agree with me, because at the end of the day, everybody does it. They always apologizing and I'm sorry. Oh, I feel so bad for this officer. Why? He ain't feel bad yet. He's still out there on his vacation. He ain't say nothing in public saying, oh, I'm sorry, I shot the dude. Ain't anything, you know. So you know, but that's my stance, and it's real, and that's why I never have a huge loss of followers. I never have issues when it comes to selling product because people are like, well, that's him. That's how he does his thing. We've known it for years. The new people, they get in their feelings, right? They haven't seen me talk too much. But the old people are like, nah, that's him. That's how he talks. You know, that's how he runs this operation. You know, it works. He's the only one making it work. So don't question his methods, right? It's like, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's wild stuff. Ramond, I think you froze for a second. Yeah, he froze for a second. Let me go and put these questions up. Okay, you fixed it, right? I can hear you right now, but you standing up, right? Oh no, you're right there.
Trying, man. I don't know what's going on, man.
You know, internet be crazy sometimes.
You're going in and out. So can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. All right, let's go pull some questions up. First one, when will episode 4, 5, and 6 of Black Sands come out? We are producing it right now. We actually cast most of the cast. It's being developed by the animation studio right now for 4, 5, and 6. So that should be out in, I would say, 2 months. 2 months, you'll see 4, 5, and 6 come out week by week by week. I hope so. Let's see. Who draws the comics? That would be Hydrus, aka David Letterman, and Juan Lim. Juan Lim's our colorist. They've been working on this for about 2-3 years now, so you know, pretty consistent. Let's see. Ramond, why did we make Egyptians African? You could answer this because anybody can answer this. But go right ahead, man.
Hold up. My bad's cutting out. He said, what is that?
He said, why did we make Egyptians African? Dang, his internet's messed up. His internet's messed up, man. You here? Are you good?
I know it's bad, man. My bad. Yeah, man. My bad, man. It's I'm not sure. Yeah. Can you hear me now, man? This is tough right now. My bad, man. I don't know if it's my end of yours, but
oh, good.
It says, why did y'all make them African?
Yeah, why do we make
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure I fully understand the question. Like
I know it's a weird question, right? Everybody should make them African. They're in Africa, right?
Yeah.
The Egyptians. Come on, it was in Africa. What are we?
I mean, that's clear.
What am I supposed to do there? You know, it's like
right.
I wouldn't. So yeah, we're just messing with that one. How about this one? Gambit has a question specifically for you. He said, would you do a remix album? Would you do a remix album could drop after the animation blows up, maybe for the video game?
I would definitely be interested in it. You know what I mean? This was probably the funnest project I've ever got to be a part of, just because I got to dive in that world. And me and Manuel always already talked about, working in the future, continuing to do things. So I would definitely be interested, man. So that could definitely happen. That would actually be super dope, man. I could just picture like a video game with a fire album. That would be dope.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a phase 2 type thing, right? We don't have the budget to do the animation enough to have an intro and outro for Black Sands yet, right? But as we start working on intros and outros and stuff like that, that's when you need real music. You know what I mean? So that's when we're gonna be calling Ramond.
Yeah.
Right. We don't care if Drake called. Drake gonna be like, man, I'm about to do your intro. I'm like, bro, you can go ahead and give us an endorsement. Right?
That's what's up.
You give the people who already been there the power. Let's see. Let's see. What do you ultimately hope to achieve with these comics? What is the fundamental purpose of this company outside monetary gain? Well, monetary gain is the purpose because basically without money, you don't have influence. Without influence, you don't have a way to educate kids in the future. Scholastics can dominate the educational system for Black children in the United States because they sell a lot of books in schools, right? So it's like, so what we got to do is make sure that our numbers are right, that we are in wide distribution, so that eventually we could be the books that they read in middle school. And so long as there are books in middle school, we now control the narrative. So, you know, I always think like this. I tell people when they write books, especially if they write books in my course, right, which I've done a lot of courses for writing, I tell people the story you want to tell, your story that's closest to your heart, you better find a way to make it appealing to the audience you're going after. I don't care if it's not in your story, that certain elements are there or not, but that's what the audience wants. If the audience wants it, you throw it in there anyway. For instance, I'll give you a good example. Food Wars, Shokugeki. This is an anime. It's about cooking. It's a cooking show. That's all it is. It's a freaking cooking show. It's probably the best cooking show that ever was for animes. And what they did was, all right, is anybody going to take this show seriously? It's a freaking cooking show, right? So they're like, so the producers sitting there like, this is a goddamn cooking show. How are we going to get a massive audience to watch a cooking show? And they said, all right, well, what normally gets people to at least watch a couple of episodes before they eventually kill the entire series? Ecchi content, right? Let's put a whole bunch of girls in bikinis and have clothes burst off and just be funny as shit and ridiculous and everything in order to get people to give it a chance. Because now they look at it and they say, this is absurd. This is so stupid. Oh my God, look how big her boobs are, whatever, right? And now they're into it. First 2 episodes, absurd, absolutely absurd. Episode 3, 4, 5, 6, and the rest of the seasons, very mild compared to that first 2 episodes. Why did they do that? Because they knew that they needed certain elements to get people to give it a chance. And now you got people buying entire freaking cookbooks from the Food Wars damn comic series. They're buying cookbooks. They're doing all these things. They have food lines and everything else. Why? Because of fucking anime about cooking. And the only reason why it worked was because they took this ecchi approach when everybody else was doing a very like normal approach. They did an ecchi approach in order to get the initial audience going, to get them hooked. Once they were hooked, they blew them away and like helped a whole generation of kids and like teens and old young adults into becoming like cooking fiends. Now they all want to cook, you know, and they weren't cooking before. That's what we call power, sneaky power. You know, is that and they could have just made a guide, and they could have just made an anime that was very boring about cooking, but they said, no, we're going to make it absolutely absurd in order to get people interested at first. And then they're like, oh crap, this is actual science. It's actual food science. I didn't know that, you know? So think about that whenever you're making stuff, is that there's a good, they said sometimes you have to get influence first before you could ever worry about, you know, telling the right story, right? There's a whole bunch of people who wrote the right story, right? And 100 people read their book, right? And Hollywood wins. Hollywood wins because 100 people read their book and 5 million people watched Gods of Egypt, which was a flop to them. They lost terrible amount of money for that, but it doesn't matter because millions of people watched it. They might have thought it was trash, but millions of people saw white Egyptians, and they keep seeing white Egyptians and more white Egyptians and more white Egyptians, to the point where whenever you think Egypt, you think white people. Doesn't matter if I win or lose money at that point, right? Because I'm trying to start a narrative. So think about that when we think about, you know, why are we chasing profits? Because nobody else is, and they never succeeded. Something they did wrong, because all of them closed. Even when they were with DC, Milestone went bankrupt. Even when they had DC in their corner, they still went bankrupt. What was wrong with their business model? We need to be thinking about that. All right, let's see. Next question. I think we already addressed this one, right? Will you continue to make albums for the series, or is this a one-time thing? No, not really. It's not a one-time thing, that's for sure. You know, we're gonna do it in the future.
We're gonna do it together, man. So yeah, look out for that So we'll have more projects.
Let's see. Let's see. Weren't the Sumerians and Minoans black too? All I'm gonna say is I throw them a bone, right? He said in case this does ever get big, right? Like dumb big. At least I gave them a big enough bone where they will, they'll eventually come to the table, right? So I say the Minoans, but they're not regular white people. Like the Minoans are not regular white people in our story. They're more like freaking Puerto Ricans, right? that island white dude look, right? So they have that Puerto Rican feel to them. They actually have like that Puerto Rican Dominican accent to them. I just wanted to do that because I thought, homage to my Pan African people, right? It's like they got some soul in them, so I'm gonna throw them a bone on that one, And the who else? The Sumerians, throw some Arabs and bones, man. When you live up north, the Arabs are your people. Trust me. You say you live in these liberal cities and stuff like that. Arabs are on your side, man. They chilling. They like black folks and they hang with you and they do all that stuff. They love hip hop and all that crap. It's like they're very on your side. So throw them bones when you can. They hardly ever get any representation at all, good or bad. They just don't get represented. So I'm like Sumerians, Arab. But guess what? I'll probably throw like something in there for the Hebrew Israelites. Like I'll throw in there like randomly Gilgamesh is gonna be marching south for something, and he's gonna run into the city of Ur, right? He's gonna see the city of Ur from the Bible, and it's gonna be like, are you gonna recruit them? And he's gonna be like, nah, I can't recruit them. They're very, he said for some reason they're very like pious or something. They believe in what they believe in, right? So they ain't gonna join us in this war. It's not their fight. And you're gonna see a whole bunch of black people in Ur just to go and say, look at that, the original, the Abraham's people, right? I'm gonna be like, look at that, see that right there? I'm slick with it. I threw it in there just to go have an origin story for the Abrahamic people, right? Right? It's like a slick way of doing that, right? Just a little like Easter egg. I like Easter eggs, right? Throw a little Easter egg in there and call it a day. So that's how I'm gonna handle that thing. But I wanted to throw people bones, especially Hispanic people and Arabs, right? So Hispanic people, they never get shown in ancient anything. So I'm gonna be like, they came from somewhere, right? All these Spaniards and Portuguese, they weren't always there. They probably came from, actually, we know they came from that area. The Minoans and the Phoenicians, they all went down the freaking Mediterranean and settled all over the place. So we know for a fact that the Minoans and the Phoenicians are basically the Spaniards and Portuguese. They are the same people. That's why they're so different from everybody else in Europe, right? Those people are so different from them, so that's what's up. Let's see. We're about done here though, but let me go and see if anyone else has anything. Will you address or touch on the cultures historically? Let me see that one. Will you address or touch on the cultures historically? If yes, will they be introduced through your current storyline? I say culturally. I touch on every culture culturally, right? Not historically. This is pre-dynastic. So the whole story takes place like 3500 BC. There's like no documentation about 3500 BC, right? We know stuff existed. We know entire civilization existed, but they sucked at writing at the time. So nobody has real story. Like everything's like word of mouth. Like, yo, back then, Ra was mad dope. Right? It's like that. That's basically all you got, So we got a lot of liberties on the actual history in story, right? But culturally, they will be very accurate. So if you ever read issues 1 through 6 of Black Sands, you'll see we have a lot of details about society in many of these nations that we're visiting. Let's see. For the people who want to invest, how do they begin the process? If you're on my email list or you're on YouTube or whatever, you're gonna eventually see me put a video out saying, "Hey, In 5 days, the campaign's live, right? If you're on Patreon or if you're a previous investor, you're going to get the first invite. After 48 hours, customers and Kickstarter backers will be invited next. After the first week, then we're going to invite the public. And if you're just somebody who watches me on YouTube, you're going to be invited along with Instagram and Facebook. And hopefully you guys get in before it closes again. Because last time 500 people got kicked. You know, I can't stop it. So this is one of the most depressing things about these campaigns on WeFunder is that I can't close them when I hit my max by law. By law, I have to keep my campaign open for 6 more days after the campaign has hit max. The problem with that is when you're investing at 1.2 million, when the max is 1.07, right? You're not getting in. They're going to take your money. They're going to put you on standby, but damn near 500 people have to have failed their payment before you get moved into the slot, which is very unlikely.
That's crazy.
And all that does is leave you in a state of perpetual horror because they're going to take your money. They're going to hold it until they process everything. And then after they process everything and confirm that they have the maximum amount of money they're supposed to raise, then they kick everybody out who hasn't got their who didn't make the cut. And then you get a refund 2 months down the line. And you're like, what happened? I thought I bought stock and everything else. And I'm like, I can't do anything to stop it. It's the law. I can't close the account. I can't close it down. If I raise 2 million, you know, $1,900,000 is going to be returned. People think they made it and they didn't, you know? So I always tell people, invest early, invest hard, because there ain't no second chances. Once it's over, you know, you never want to get that. The worst fate is to get the refund. Missing it's better than getting the refund 2 months later. That hurts. That hurts. You know, that hurts. You know, last time we did the campaign, 3 weeks. 3 weeks. That's all we got. You know, it was 3 weeks and the ground was over. It was over. It's gonna be faster this time because people were pissed last time that they got refunded. So they all like, I get refunded this time. I'm in day one. They're like, you ain't getting me with that crap again. And I'm like, I tried to tell you, I tried to warn y'all. So yeah. So I hope everybody has a great weekend, right? Ramond, I'm gonna leave it to you. Go ahead and send everybody off. Tell them what you want to say. Give your last words. You know, the last word with Lawrence O'Donnell. You on the mic.
Man, I appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. If you haven't already, make sure you go buy that DVD CD combo. It's a great collaboration, you know, between me and Manuel. Yeah, you can follow me at Ramond Official. That's RAMOND Official. We actually have a big song out right now. I'm just touching on what's going on in the world as well, too, called "I Can't Breathe Again." You know what I mean? So, you know, like Manuel, I'm in the same realm of like using my voice to really say something that means something to me, man. So go check that out as well. Yeah, appreciate everybody for coming out.
All right, guys. See y'all later. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And remember, Black Lives Matter.